can also see that there is a Quicksilver Dragon in that group there, so that's something to definitely keep in mind here, as they will just continually negate our statue form. But on the flip side of that, and I think it did come up one time last Sunday as well, is the fact that, fortunately, while statue form is a big advantage to us in this run, it's not quite as strictly necessary as it has been for some of the runs we've played in the past. Most namely Octopodes. Quicksilver enemies become the absolute bane of your existence. Ooh, and here I guess we could have put the thought to the test here. Do I even bother bringing up statue form again? And thank you so much, Acid Grind, for the follow. Appreciate it a whole lot, and happy to have you here. Hope you're having a great day. Let's take a look. You're probably poison, immune, or resistant. Oh, you're not. Oh, you fool. Okay. Then OTR, I think, is going to be that there next. Take a couple of swings here. Bolt of Dispelling Energy ain't doing crap. Thank you very much. And should still be good. The next couple panic buns that we have at our disposal here are to Condenser Vein, if we think that we'll just keep bringing enemies out to us here, or we can actually just nope the heck out of here if we so desire. We're only a few turns off from being able to bring statue form back into existence. And that's kind of what we're holding out for. So you know what? Let us just throw out a Condenser Vein, shall we? Helps with the low evasion or high evasion enemies, and the Tengu Reaver is what's really scaring me right now, because they have the full spectrum of elements at their disposal. And while we at least have a single pip of resistance in every category, that's still not the be-all end-all of survivability. Hey man, glad to see him still going. You started lurking when you were on Halfling. Love to hear it. That was definitely a fun series of run, even though for whatever reason I feel the worst about the innocent Halflings that we threw away. Like, sure, I've died on a lot of promising characters, but specifically I think Riffling was such a sad death. But glad to have you around, and always appreciate you coming in like this, but also just lurking is absolutely fantastic, and I appreciate that a whole lot. So it's nice to see you. Ah, Fling fan, aren't we all? The Fling dynasty was one of the greatest halfling families in existence on this plane or any other. But okie dokie, that's the end of the depths for us. Not too bad, all things considered. A good warm-up, getting us back into the groove of things, getting back into tip-top shape here. And with that, I think what's next for us is probably to head over to vaults and start exploring. Even if we don't end up going for the silver rune as our third rune here, it's still a nice amount of experience, good amount of treasure potentially as well. And after making it through depths without too many problems, we should be in a good position to do the same, at least through vaults 1 to 4. We shall have to see. Without further ado, let's take a look. We at least have some of the resistances we need in order to get through here. Hello, Ironbound Beastmaster. Pleasure to see you. You dire elephants. I'd like to take out the Beastmaster before they can buff out their friends here, but turns out not really a problem. Able to just dispatch them the normal route. Not too bad. And I am really enjoying Manifold Assault here. I don't know how how the efficacy of it ranks compared to some of the other spells at our disposal or combat opportunities that we have, but it definitely is a fun spell, to say the least. This is 0.26 or 0.27, this is 0.27, so unfortunately, halflings no longer exist. They've been, I guess, yeah, wiped out from this existence. So in some ways, the Fling Dynasty were the last of the halflings. But definitely have been enjoying a lot of the changes that have been made available here. Also, of course, now that I've decided on my curse, I get the elements that I was so desperately hoping for last time. I could curse my fire ring, even just temporarily, potentially. It'd get us that much closer to being able to cast Ignition. We don't have as desperate of a need to have swappable equipment as when we first had that as our open slot. Oh wait, did I never curse my Autumn Katana? I don't think I did. So, we could actually just curse the Autumn Katana with elements now. And it's definitely an interesting prospect. Let's finish this fight, step back for a little bit here, and then I'm going to take a sip of my drink just while I mull it over in my head here. Hum-de-dum. I think that is worth it. I do like the mixture of all the spellcasting, or at least most of the spellcasting camps in one go here, besides transmutations and poison, I guess, are sought under or put under different categories. Probably gets us pretty dang close to Ignition. Let's do it. It seems kind of fun. And I think I will bind the Autumn Katana to us, at least for the time being. Still hoping against hope that we end up finding something absolutely spectacular that will end up taking that slot, but for the time being, I'm happy to keep the Autumn Katana for the foreseeable future at the very least. I also should, okay, I guess I'd finish this fight now that they're kind of noticing me here. Quick, just fight my way through that. And then, before I forget again, let's actually learn Ignition, shall we? And even take a peek at just how castable it is now. Wait, not a lot more castable. What did I misremember here? We do have improved skill in fire magic. Maybe it was just we had just gone down to 22%, so we, got that much closer to the next tick downwards in spell failure rate without actually crossing the threshold here. But that is all good, and we can immediately learn that, because even at a bad cast rate could be situationally spectacular at the very least. Don't have to worry about getting marked here. The sentinels still make a lot of noise with their warning cry, but at the end of the day, that's not quite as bad as getting marked in one of these scarier sections. Hello, friend. He's very confused, wandering around, wondering where did that noise come from? It's hard in the vaults. The sound echoes around a ton, I'm sure. Hello, Cenox. Goodbye, Cenox. As per usual, we probably won't be dealing with any of those ghost vaults unless strictly necessary. But never say never, of course. Who knows what the future holds. I want to get a few more hits in with our manifold assaults, so I will take a step forward here. Also making sure we're in statue form as per usual, and then we'll save the last bit of our magic. I've been a little too judicious with my magic point usage. I think that I should maybe just lean back a little bit, take it easy, and save some of our mana for when things get truly dire and we really need to, reinitiate statue form in the middle of a highly poisonous encounter. But definitely a solid start to vaults here. Giving a good showing. Let's keep it going, I was about to say, but Ocean Shop got me excited just to let me down. Not horrible. If we really need mutation in the future, could be nice. But in general, I was definitely hoping for some heal wounds or some haste action. That would have been nice. Wouldn't it have been, game? Yes, I'm being a little greedy with my desires, just because, in general, we're in a much better position than we normally are for most of our characters here, and that should be enough. We have corrosion resistance, but still not quite enough to prevent the horrible influence of the Entropy Weaver. We're at least in a better spot of the game than when you'd normally first encounter them. Entropy Weavers and Spider are often just absolutely brutal, but very much happy to take whatever we can get here. And a room just full of money. Again, it's not something that we necessarily need, but it's nice coming out of the dungeon a little richer. We're able to, even besides just our fame for being the ones who retrieved the Orb of Zot, we still want enough money to be able to, you know, take care of our family, maybe our whole community. If we can get rich enough out of the dungeon here, we can always make sure that our Gnoll home is just the best it can possibly be. All the social structures and infrastructure that we could possibly desire. Up to 8 potions of mutation now, so we should be in a very good spot for the late game when we have the possibility to just be mutated completely out of our gourd here. It's so funny what counts and doesn't count for stopping auto-explore, because sometimes we're seeing monsters through walls. The game doesn't have that much of a problem with it, but in times or situations like we just saw there, absolutely impossible. Could not even try to auto-explore with this monstie behind that wall. Maybe free dental care and drugs outside the hospital for old Gnolls. It would be really nice, right? We could have a bit of a idyllic society when we get back home. Definitely full dental. At the very least. Not too bad here. It's actually one of the biggest things to stop you from playing Ash, just the pain of having to constantly reroute and do manual movement. Gosh, yeah, manual movement. Who does that anymore? I definitely could see what you mean. There are a couple Formicid. It's so useful a lot of times to have the sense of monsters, much like the Gnolls do, where you can see them or sense them behind walls. But it can also definitely be a bit of a pain in the butt, depending on what type of character you're playing. Because if you have somebody who doesn't ever really benefit off of that extra caution and careful play, then it just kind of is a pain in the butt with no upsides. It also breaks resting. It does, yeah. No, there have been a couple places where we've had to make sure to take a few steps back just so that we could rest in peace. Though it kind of makes sense to a certain degree, right? Can you imagine trying to get to sleep when you know that there's that monster just wandering back and forth in that adjacent hallway? Probably wouldn't make for the most restful of nights at the very least. No, I've previously not played too much Ash and Zari, but I will say I've definitely been enjoying them, specifically for Gnolls here. I always liked to take Okawaru just because the heroism skill works so well for Gnolls, bringing up all of their, warrior capabilities to a nice degree. But at the end of the day, Ash and Zari's skill boosts do a similar thing. Combined, just want to say single, which is not the same, but a similar thing with the bound items and the abilities you can get from that. Plus, it's never the worst thing. I have to type yes. This can't just kill me. It can do something more horrifying than I expected, but that's fine. Let's cross this. To find absolutely nothing behind it. Perfect. Exactly what we were hoping for. I mean, let's be real, your skills are insane right now. They definitely are. Again, I was reading that in general, in a 3-rune game, most Gnolls, you're sitting at like 16, which I guess makes sense if you look at some of these non-buffed skills, but it's absolutely absurd that we're this good at all types of magic this early in the game. In fact, speaking of which, how are we doing? Down 1%. Not quite the leaps and bounds that I was hoping for, but I'll take it. We never did find Ignite Poison, so Ignition is just taking that middle step out of the situation here. Because that's normally, the poor person's Ignition is just an OTR Ignite Poison combo, but you can just skip right to the blowing things up indiscriminately. Don't mind if I do. And perfect. Hello. Don't call in friends. I mean, it's already too late. I probably should have just cut my losses there a little bit, but we should be fine. It's Manifold Assault, and then we do have Irradiate. So that's another one that will be useful throughout the entirety of the game here. Completely undodgeable, and absolutely slaps for when you're completely surrounded by enemies like that. Something I probably would have done well to remember in one of our closer encounters at the start of today's stream, because I've been kind of leaning on Ulgreb's Toxic Radiance against evasion high enemies, but Irradiate does a whole lot more damage, and it's immediate damage instead of over time, which is definitely nice in a lot of specific situations here. Hello, friends. Don't mind me, I'm just gonna step in here, thank you. And we'll just contaminate ourselves just a little bit, just a wee bit. Take all those buddies out. Perfect. See, I've been trying to take out the Beastmasters before dealing with their flocks here, but I can't even remember why I'm doing it. I feel like they are able to buff their dire elephants, right? I feel like that's a thing, not just my brain making up completely fictional memories. I'll have to check out on the next one we come across here, if I remember to. Think they berserk them? Okay, that would make sense. That's exactly the type of thing that I'm fearful of, at the very least. There we go, our entrance to crypts. We haven't been into crypts whatsoever in any of our recent runs, because we've been going a little bit fast in terms of charging down the final state of the game. When you're in a good position to grab the slime rune, there's almost never any need to go through vaults. You don't technically need the experience. I think on every victory we've had so far, we have ended up. Also, there was a Beastmaster there. Dang it. But on every victory we've had up until this point, I do believe that we have hit level 27, even if just in the final section of the game. But it can oftentimes be very nice to have the ability to gain up any extra treasure or experience that you might be lacking on any given character. Hello, Marjorie. I think we can take you out just fine. Some fiery stuff. Still extremely dangerous, don't get me wrong. But, and you have friends. Fun. Let's bring in some of our own friends, and then if I can take out all the Hell Knights from afar with Manifold Assault, we could throw out some poison clouds, of course. There's some Toxic Radiance. But shouldn't be strictly necessary. I did a quick check there for distortion weapons, looking all good in that department. Actually, maybe I will poison, because even you are susceptible, aren't you? You are indeed. So that's a nice, efficient use of magic. And we should have statue form up. That's important. I may have already found this out, but if you gave incorrect info a long while back, it seems that poison doesn't keep applying if you leave a poison monster behind on the floor, you're bad. Not sure if it ever did, but a recent Venom Mage play taught you that it doesn't now, at least. No, that's all good. It's such a niche like scenario that I definitely haven't run across it too often in my own play here. But I think there was one buddy that we were trying to leave poisoned at the bottom of the stairs, and yeah, we were running into that issue, but no problem whatsoever. There are so many mechanics in this game, and you never know, yeah, which version we're all remembering back to, harking back to, as it were. That's all good. I mean, if we had died to a totally different story. I'm a very, very angry person. I have lots of grudges. I'm not at all just relaxed and happy to have you around or anything like that. That would just be silly. So it's all good, though. Oops, let's not wait out turns unnecessarily here. And wow, we're already down to Vaults 4, which is actually kind of dangerous. I feel like I haven't been paying attention whatsoever. And we could have, for all I'd known there, just dropped right into Vaults 5 with 0 prep time, which is not what you're looking to do, but fortunately, we're remembering now, just before it becomes a crucial element. We can just keep Manifold Assaulting. It's not doing quite as much damage as I would like. Ignite is down to 19%. It's getting there, she's getting there. Well, guess we'll keep just Manifold Assaulting a little bit. Stopping now, I think. Still have enough magic to recast statue form, to bring in some other necessities. I know I just looked at you. What else do you do? Throw barbs? That's fine. Battlecry, that is fine and dandy. It's tempting to take a walk out towards the right here. See if that is a single wide corridor. Very tempting. But maybe instead we'll just walk to the door here and do some classic slashing ourselves. That should do it. 81% of the time, it works every time. Finally got an Octopode win as a Venom Mage. Been working on that one for a while. OTR plus Ignite Poison is really good. I think the Noxious Fog plus Ignite Poison was the late game winner for me. Yeah, there are definitely some really killer combinations, because especially if you have OTR and Ignite Poison, and then also any source of Poison Clouds, you're pretty set for resistances. As long as people aren't resistant to both fire and poison, you're solid, because can use a mix of blowing up the blood within monsters as well as just placing down fire clouds with a bit of an extended process, to say the least, but still works for sure. And close the distance to that Earth Mage. Don't want them getting nothing on me. And then I step forward here because I do want to irradiate the Elven Priest there. Unfortunately, a bit of a smart Elven Priest and step back out of the way. Dang you. Let's do one more Manifold Assault, so that gets us. Not great, but statue form left us at the perfect time here because we can actually retreat for once. I'm so used to being too slow to do so, but I will happily take the opportunity. Oh geez. Vault Warden had a bad time. Fortunately didn't close the stairs as we tried to go up, so that's good. That's always solid. But this stairway is now a lot scarier than it once was, so let's just change out, shall we? You have a couple races left for Great Player. Of course, Phalid is one of them, so tough. Yeah, it's definitely a sticking point from what I've heard. I don't think I've ever gotten a Phalid victory, and in fact, just thinking about it for a moment here. Not quite a victory. I've had some close calls in the past. When they first came out, I remember being very excited about them and having a lot of fun. And in that situation, I definitely, I think I remember playing a lot of Phalid Berserkers, because it was around the same time that I was in my playing Berserker only phase, and so it definitely had a whole lot of fun. That was one of the first evasion-based Berserker combos that I ever tried. But that's awesome that you're close to Great Player. That's always fantastic to hear. Definitely a lot closer than I am, I'm guessing. No, I wanna throw it this way. There we go. But I wish you the best of luck, especially with that tricky Phalid win. Can always be a bit of an interesting situation as you get so far in, you have a brilliant run going, and then just 2 crystal spears are enough to absolutely annihilate you. Hello all. Gathering a bit of a party here, and we're slow, so I should be careful, but perfect. I think... Oh no, we did not kill the Torpor Snail with a Manifold Assault. They just changed into a different form. Fun stuff. Phalid and Spriggan are both so splatable. Feels like a single mistake and you're done for. You had some good Phalid Berserker recently, but can't go the distance just yet. Well, nice. I'm sure you will eventually get there, one way or another. But yeah, I'm definitely dreading playing any of the really lower HP combos like those ones. Be a bit of a pain in the butt. The nice thing about Spriggans is that they're not quite as squishy, just with their ability to actually at least wear some armors and equipment. And the thing that I am looking forward to is trying to play as a combo that's actually faster than enemies for once. Because I feel like I'm almost always statue forming, especially with any caster. It's such an invaluable ability that I can't help but try it out. 11 blinks indeed, and we actually have access to 12 because there's one in that shop that we just aren't even bothering to buy. Very much far too much work, you know, and who needs another blinking scroll? Not us. But here we go. Goad Beasts. Provokes nearby beasts to act faster. Effect is fleeting, but repeated use. So at least doesn't have the might component of Berserk, but also doesn't have the downsides of Berserk. So good to keep in mind, and still definitely a good idea to try and take those buddies out. Hi, how's the game going? Hey, Railbird, how's it going? Game is fantastic so far here. Started off right into an already promising Gnoll run, and so far, in the first hour here, I haven't managed to completely pilot this ship into the ground, so that's always a great thing in my books. I'm definitely piloting with relative ease, all things considered. Very enjoyable run. It's my first time trying out the new and improved Ashen Zari. It's been a whole lot of fun. Crystal Golem, hey? I think Irradiate still hits you well, and Iron Shot is still a decent option there. High AC enemy that has a whole lot of resistances. Apparently, Autumn Katana. That's the actual answer. Sure, we could have blasted with our exceptionally powerful magics, but why do so when you can just slice them to ribbons? Not too bad. Hello, my troll friend. Hello, my Yaktar friend. Bit dangerous moving around without statue form enabled, but never didn't have it, I guess. Trying so hard to be a wizard, but 90% of the time the answer is press tab. Feels bad, man. Right? We put in all the work, all the years and years of training and experience, all for it to be completely functionally useless might be the wrong word, but at least unnecessary, I guess, to be more appropriate. Oh, that is a fascinating vault, too. So often, and still probably in this case, these vaults are not worth the trouble that they bring, but we have... Oh, we can actually see what these rings are. Oh, that makes it more potentially useful to actually have looked. Huh. So wizarding, resist electric, not really anything we need on that. A lot of that's already covered. Same with this ring. So unfortunately, I don't think it's worth the, Potion of Heal Wounds and Scroll of Blinking. Because again, we're just swimming in it today. We're very much in the opposite camp from where I usually am playing the game here, in that we've managed to save a decent number of consumables thus far into the run, which I'd love to see. Have a great evening. Looking forward to catching up on the Orb run later. Yeah, you as well, TVD. Have a fantastic rest of your day here, and thank you so much for dropping in and saying hi. It's always nice seeing familiar faces or names. Always get caught up on that one. But regardless, lovely to see you, and have a great rest of your evening. Thanks so much. You usually don't see the vault until see that vault until the pan levels, so that's funny. This is definitely my first time running across it. I'm very curious what kind of beasties are hiding. I guess with Ashen Zari and I think this is from our good nose, we can see that it doesn't look to be very scary. In terms of makeup here, there could be a couple giant red angry faces in the middle that we just haven't gained sight of, but who knows. You too see, sneaky, these guys don't know you exist, right? We left half the monsters just wandering around the level aimlessly. But here we go. We could probably take Vaults 4, just as is, I think. Even without ignition, we can still mass poison the entire crowd. Condenser Vein is gonna absolutely kill down there as well, especially if we can get some good clouds. Those acid clouds will be such a huge advantage if we're able to eke that out. On the other hand of things, we could try and gain just a little bit more experience and get ourselves into the ignition camp here. I'm just taking a brief look over at our inventory to kind of decide at where I land on the issue here. We do have a lot of ways to save ourselves down there. The main thing is that we want to be able to take out Vault Wardens as quickly as possible, because we want to have the ability to retreat if things start to go sour whatsoever. And we have decent capabilities. We have some javelins here and there. We have a couple of AoE spells, a couple of piercing spells. probably would be a good idea to get that ignition castable. It is just so close. Ashinzari, I need a sign. Send me a sign. Because the alternative here is, of course, just to head down into Crypt and clear the 3 floors there. We do have a couple pips in positive energy here, so that is definitely enough to be able to make it through Crypt without too much trouble, all things considered. I'm so tempted. I'm like fighting my internal impulse to just, we can do it, we're strong enough, why don't we try it out? But let's play it just a wee bit safer here. I'm gonna head up to Crypt. We can at least take a peek. For all I know, Crypt is filled to the brim with horrifying uniques, and we'll end up just beating a hasty retreat anyway. And then all of the wanton worry would have been for nothing, you know? Besides, could find some nice treasure here as well. Wouldn't that be nice? It also helps that, in general, this should be a relatively, if not easy, then straightforward section of the game for us to clear, and so we are able to do so relatively quickly. A whole lot of tabbing, maybe the occasional spells thrown in here or there. LRD, if we wanted that. It's a bit late for when I would normally be using that spell to its greatest extent, but always just happy to fill out the old spellbook here. That's why it's always tempting to worship Sif Muna as a spellcaster, because you always just want to have all the options at your fingertips. Or at least I do. Not too bad here, just tap, 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 tap. So how was your day? How's it going? Shouldn't say that or joke about that like I'm complaining, because I'm definitely not. Also, this is where we should stop tabbing a little bit. Because Ancient Champions can definitely just pile on a decent amount of damage with those high-powered iron shots. So, let's use some Molten Fire and Rock here. I guess Molten Rock and Fire is probably the more correct way to parse that sentence. There we go. Definitely not too much of an issue here. I have a personal vendetta against Ancient Champions because I lost a very promising, I think they had like 12 or 13 runes. One of the first 15 rune runs that I was ever going for in a gargoyle, and they died very stupidly to an Ancient Champion that had no right being the end of their existence, if just because I was getting a little lazy and just kept moving into them thinking I could take them out before anything bad happened, and then a few iron shots later, just the most classic example of yet another stupid death. But okay, let's see. Clearing 1 floor of Crypt brings us to still 9%. So we might need to have the quality and quantity of enemies increase over the next 2 floors here, which they usually do, don't get me wrong. Especially Crypt 3 usually has quite the welcoming committee, as it were. I guess Manifold Assault is the best way to hit that Revenant buddy. Perfect. As I just tab far more quickly than is probably safe, that I should be, but all is well that ends well here. We can just keep throwing out the Manifold Assault without too much concern, issue. Perfect. And back into it. There keeps offering us curses here, which feels bad. I guess I should probably be checking them out, just because if there is a good enough one, we probably will bind our ring to us, because why the heck not? You turned a corner once in Crypt and got 100 to 0 and 1 paralyzed. Jeez, yeah. See, those are the types of plays that hurt when they happen, but at the end of the day, it puts you in the right mindset for future runs, because one should always be prepared for imminent death in a game such as this. Also, I don't think I've ever seen a fire crab zombie. I thought that was a new monster for a second there. I guess also the sprite or the avatar could have been changed as well, but that threw my mind for a little bit of a short circuit there, to say the least. Ooh, something angelic down here. Oh, it's Menace themselves. Menace the Menace. Well, we can probably take you. Fortunately, we're not playing as one of the evil species today, so we don't have to worry about the extra damage coming off this buddy. The silence could be debilitating. I want to take some cautions sooner rather than later in that department. Because essentially we could just go through our usual full routine here, throw out a Phantom Mirror. Maybe I should look at spells that I'd want to throw out before Menace comes up to us here. A bit of a hiccup burp. Wait, also, why are we up to 16% ignition? What happened? What changed? Maybe it's when do we get intelligence off of anything that's melded into our body right now? Or I guess elemental? We do. Our boots have our elemental buff on them. That's such a shame, too bad. So we're slightly less able to cast Ignition in statue form, which is good to learn in this situation and not in the midst of a heated battle. But definitely interesting to say the least. As a caster, Menace is a nightmare unique for your human fire elementalists, I can imagine, yeah. If he sounds you, acid is the way to go. That's very true. Oh, do you lose ash bushes on melded gear? You're wondering that? I do believe so. I haven't fully confirmed, even though this might have been confirmation that I just wasn't paying close enough attention to. But yeah, as far as I was thinking about it on my own, I do believe that to be the case, I should say. Just because it seems like the bonuses themselves are thrown onto the weaponry as an enchantment. Also, okay, that was way easier than it had any right to be. I mean, heck yeah, bud. Don't mind me. +3 Trishula here. This is something that could technically take the place of our Autumn Blade if we so desired. It's nice to have the reach a lot of the times here. Well, you made it look easy. It's all Gnoll model here. I can't take any credit for that, for sure. Can you brand it Trishula? I do believe you can. And yeah, you can rebrand it off of the Holy Wrath there as well if we so desired. No, that is an interesting... Holy Wrath does get its fair share of use in the late game, so it wouldn't be the end of the world to use it as is, even. A Trishula is usually an endgame weapon for you when you get it. Exactly, yeah. It's definitely enough to make me rethink our choices here. But for the time being, I do love me the Autumn Katana, if just for some flavor reasons. I'm trying to remember which of our characters won the game with Autumn Katana in this very series. I think it was the Merfolk. I think my Merfolk ended the game with Autumn Katana in hand. So it definitely holds a bit of a soft spot in my heart.